Robyn keeps going, well, we need to do something. Man, I've been in a dark place a little while. And so Robyn's sitting here going, well, I'm going to start checking stuff out without you. I'm in a place in my life where I will remain the maverick because I don't want to wear the brand.
Here's what nobody tells you about guys who brag about being mavericks. Spoiler, they're usually just running away from everything. We've got so much to dive into today, so let's not waste any time. Let's jump straight into it. Hey everyone, what's up? It's Elena here, and welcome back to my channel Reality Nexus X. He thinks he's a maverick. But what kind of maverick loses 3 wives and still thinks he's the misunderstood one? He heard, man, you're a prick, and somehow translated that into a badge of honor. He talks like he's rejecting some big brand or identity. But what does he think he's walking away from? Responsibility? I didn't abandon my family. I'm a maverick. I wasn't unloving, I'm just too independent. It's not conviction, it's just cowardice dressed up as individuality. And let's talk about his taste. His self-declared brand includes a serious love for David Yurman jewelry, which is ironic. The jewelry is overpriced, mass-produced, and stuck in the past, much like his entire worldview. Once a symbol of status in glossy magazines and high-end stores, now it's the jewelry equivalent of trying too hard. Generic designs sold as luxury. It's the Claire's of department store jewelry, expensive but lacking any real value or taste. Just like the mass-market art he displays. Pricey? Maybe. Meaningful? Not at all. Then there's the constant need to sound clever. Remember the Teflon Queen comment, as if that was some searing insult. In reality, it only exposed his own inability to let anything stick to him, emotionally, relationally, morally. He shrugs off accountability like it's someone else's problem and projects his flaws onto everyone else. His idea of being a maverick seems to be doing what selfish, small men have done for generations. Walk away when things get tough, especially if the women in their lives stop being useful for image building or childbearing. There's nothing unique or daring about that. Even his actions are cartoonish. At one point, he was spotted balancing on the top of a ladder, on the clearly labeled "not a step rung," while hanging holiday lights. It's like watching a sitcom character try to prove his manhood through sheer impracticality. And if this is his Top Gun moment, then the comparison is far too generous. Because if you look at the actual character of Maverick, reckless, arrogant, self-absorbed, quick to blame others, it's not inspiration. It's a diagnosis. He doesn't want religion, or anyone else, holding him accountable. Not because he's above it, but because it interferes with his ability to live a life of unchecked ego, materialism, and control. He wore the idea of polygamy like a costume, useful only as long as it gave him something to boast about. But the second it required emotional labor, commitment, or genuine effort, he threw it off and rebranded himself as misunderstood. Now he clings to this sanitized version of family experience, one where everything is staged, emotionally hollow, and performative. Board games at noon and candy apples don't make up for broken trust and estranged children. He's not a maverick. He's a cautionary tale of arrogance mistaken for strength, of image mistaken for identity, and of a man who built his life on superficiality, then acted shocked when it all collapsed. Why are we still wasting time on a show that's clearly falling apart? Spoiler, it's not about family anymore. It's about keeping the paycheck coming. Let's be real, it's time to shut it all down. Yes, it's great the women are moving on with their lives. The kids seem to be doing well. Kody and Robyn, perfectly matched in their own little echo chamber. But this show has long overstayed its welcome. What started as a glimpse into polygamy has morphed into a tired performance, a manufactured spectacle designed to squeeze every last dollar out of a broken narrative. It's no longer about a lifestyle. It's about keeping the TLC checks coming. At this point, the show isn't documenting anything authentic. It's curated chaos, edited drama, and emotional manipulation disguised as entertainment. Cameras roll, storylines are stretched, and the only thing that grows is the disconnect between what we see and what's real. Want to do something useful? Turn the focus toward the reality of leaving polygamy. That would be compelling television. Invite back the women who tried to speak truth in earlier seasons, the ones dismissed for calling out the cult-like dysfunction. None of the adults come off well. Christine, hailed as the hero, has her flaws. Miri is continuously sidelined and humiliated. Janelle keeps it together but isn't without fault. And Kody? He's not just emotionally toxic, he's manipulative, controlling, and increasingly hard to watch. Robyn plays the perpetual victim with alarming precision, crying on cue while avoiding accountability. There's no cohesive family here. There hasn't been for years. By season 2, they were already admitting they barely spoke to one another. Now, what's left? A monogamous couple, some exes trying to reclaim their lives, and an endless cycle of unfinished storylines and rehearsed heart-to-hearts. Meanwhile, real issues, neglected children, emotional abuse, financial control, are glossed over or ignored entirely. The most heartbreaking part? Watching women who gave decades of their lives be discarded when they no longer served the central ego. And through it all, the show limps along. Behind real-time events by 1 or 2 years, dragging out moments that lost relevance ages ago. Episodes feel like they were filmed on borrowed phones and edited with sticky notes. It's exhausting. The show should have ended seasons ago. The original premise is gone. There's nothing left but the fallout. At this point, it's not about family, faith, or unity. It's about profit, plain and simple. Cancel the show. Let them live private lives. The ones who want to grow will do so without the spotlight. And the ones who don't, well, at least we won't have to watch them pretend anymore. Here's what the Sister Wives cameras didn't want you to see. Kody Brown's cold indifference while his wife is giving birth. Rewatching Sister Wives Season 8, Episode 1. Kody's masterclass in emotional detachment. Watching the scene where Christine is about to have Truly, Kody gets off the phone and bitterly says, "I gotta go. She's gonna have that baby. Not our baby, not my baby, just that baby." If you ever needed confirmation that he didn't care, there it was. Later, it's no surprise that 12-year-old Truly wants nothing to do with him. He seems genuinely confused by this. Exactly. And then there's the unforgettable moment when Kody questions the doctor about Mary's infertility while Christine is in active labor. The doctor looked so uncomfortable, like, maybe don't bring up your other wife's fertility issues right now. It was painfully clear Kody didn't care about Christine's feelings. Honestly, anyone else would have said, "Hey, I'm in labor. Can we focus?" Fast forward, Christine seems so much more relaxed with David. She's always stiff and awkward with Kody, but noticeably more comfortable and genuinely happy with David. Truly also appears to have a better relationship with David's family than with Robyn's. That awkward scene where Truly considers spending the night at Robyn's after the split feels more like a stranger wondering if she's allowed in the house than a child at home. Robyn claims Truly coming over restores normalcy, but Truly clearly only connects with a few of Robyn's kids. The rest seem like strangers. David, on the other hand, seems to embrace Christine's kids fully, showing more affection than Kody ever did. Kody's minimal displays of affection, mostly a quick kiss or holding hands, stand in stark contrast to David's warmth. It's no wonder Christine looks happier and more at ease around David. Maybe it helps that she doesn't have to tiptoe around a screamer like Kody. Christine's story is sad in some ways. She didn't even realize what a healthy relationship looked like until she saw it through her kids. At least she woke up before it was too late and found happiness in a monogamous relationship. Meanwhile, Kody's relationships with his kids from the original 3 wives have been strained for a while. COVID only made it worse. He ignored many of them and still ended up sick despite all his grocery washing precautions. The biological Brown kids seem distant from Robyn's kids and vice versa. The adopted kids are rarely seen. If he couldn't manage time fairly among all his children, maybe he shouldn't have had so many. Watching the older kids, like Gwendolyn, shows some fondness toward Robyn's kids, but overall, it feels like the family is fractured. Truly is definitely better off with Christine, David, and her siblings who adore her. Kody leaving the hospital while Christine was in labor, presumably to spend time with Robyn, was just ridiculous. There were plenty of adults who could have dropped off clothes or snacks, but no, he had to leave. And while Christine was pushing, Kody was probably texting Robyn, jealous that he wasn't the center of attention. He has never shown genuine care for any of the kids who aren't Robyn's biological children, and it's still unclear if he really cares about them or just acts like it to keep up appearances. Kody and Robyn seem intent on making their kids into a real family unit, creating a bubble separate and superior to the rest. They've taught these kids to see the others as the wrong side, which is deeply unhealthy. You see it in the kids' behavior, the snarky comments, the power dynamics, and Kody's failure to discipline appropriately depending on whose kid it is. If Christine's child made a rude comment, Kody would call them out by name. When it's Robyn's kids, blanket statements or nothing at all. At the end of the day, Kody invested all his energy into one family, DAVSARK, and left the original wives and their kids to fend for themselves emotionally and financially. That's why the original wives are thriving now that they're out. Robyn wanted to be the favorite wife, not the only one. You can't be the queen of the polygamous pyramid when the hive has scattered. Christine found real love and happiness before it was too late. Kody, he's left behind with little more than a prairie dog-infested plot of land and a shrinking family. If you think attention seekers are unbearable, wait until you see Mykelti's latest meltdown. She takes annoying to a whole new level. Another classic Mykelti momentum. Oh great, another totally charming move from Mykelti. She's basically that coworker everyone dreads. You know the type. Thinks they're hilarious when they're really just painfully annoying. Case in point, Christine's engagement taco party. Instead of sitting quietly and letting David maybe notice she spilled something on her dress, which could have been funny in a subtle, self-aware way, she just starts yelling "David, David" across the party like she's auditioning for a sitcom. Why? So he'd notice and she could win the bet. Just peak attention-seeking. Mykelti is a perfect blend of Christine and Kody, their most obnoxious traits, but louder. Like Kody, she has to be the center of attention. Like Christine, she thinks she's hilarious. The world revolves around those two in their minds, which makes it extra weird that Christine said David is just like Mykelti and joked that she's basically marrying her daughter. Yikes, that's not quirky, that's uncomfortable. And yes, Mykelti has huge pick-me energy. She's like the person who reminds the teacher about the homework, or the coworker who won't stop asking questions in a Friday meeting right before a long weekend. You start a separate group chat just to avoid her. She comes across as deeply pretentious, always turning the spotlight onto herself. And while Tommy wasn't front and center this time, thankfully, he was there, lurking with Avalon in the opening shot. Between the two of them, they're a walking cringe compilation. To be fair, Christine is working overtime to make David beloved by everyone. Maybe because things move so fast. She still had a minor at home and jumped right into this new relationship. And now it's a non-stop campaign to prove it's all perfect. David seems like a decent guy, way less obnoxious than Mykelti, but Christine comparing them was not the win she thought it was. Meanwhile, Peyton drops the occasional hilarious line. They've been engaged for 2 seconds, but he's also tough to stomach. He's got the worst traits of both parents, and with recent revelations about his behavior, it's hard to see him as anything but exhausting. Back to Mykelti, there's definitely some deeper stuff going on. She grew up always on the edge of sibling groups, too old for the middle kids, too young for the oldest. She never quite fit, and instead of maturing, she leaned into this loud, look-at-me persona. Now it's how she operates, with or without cameras. Her inner child is still screaming for attention, and until she deals with that, she's going to keep being this version of herself. Loud, unfunny, exhausting. Honestly, her and Tony living in another state might be the best gift Christine got post-divorce. Mykelti has always been a handful, and whether it's the constant sycophancy, the snarky jabs at Christine, or the weird shirt she wore to dress shopping, it's clear she's got complicated feelings toward her mom, probably justified to some degree. But the way she channels it, not helping anyone. Christine, for her part, has been strangely restrained. She just bites her tongue while Mykelti steamrolls every group event. Loud, crass, and always camera-ready. She's not the worst of them all, but when the nicest thing you can say is, at least she's not Robyn, you've got a problem. Even when she lost weight and calmed down slightly, the performance never stopped. She knows the louder she is, the more screen time she gets, and that means money. Like it or not, the show made the parents rich off their kids, and now the grown kids want in too. Drama equals airtime equals checks. At the end of the day, Mykelti is just a lot. She got a double dose of center of attention from Kody and Christine, and now she's living it full throttle. It's hard to root for someone when even their harmless jokes feel irritating, because it's them doing it. But hey, at least she didn't microwave fish in the break room. Just her placenta. Here's what no one tells you about the timing of Robyn's pregnancy, and why it was the worst possible move for that family. Robyn gets pregnant with Solomon. The perfect timing, or not. So picture this. Kody and Robyn are in full-on crisis mode, fleeing Utah because, fear of arrest, draining their retirement savings just to rent 4 homes, and juggling the nightmare of trying to secure 4 new home loans. And what do they decide to do during this financial roller coaster? Yep, get pregnant. Because why wouldn't this be the perfect time to add another mouth to feed? Seriously, has this family ever said no to themselves? Do they stop and consider, maybe we shouldn't take on more financial chaos right now? Of course not. They just keep cranking out babies like it's a hobby. Let's be real. Making that baby was Robyn's master plan to lock Kody down and secure her financial future. Talk about divine intervention, or maybe just plain old greed playing wingman. And is it any wonder the kids and Janelle weren't exactly thrilled? They knew it was a terrible time. The older kids were over it. Maddie openly said on camera how the original kids had to bend over backwards for Robyn's kids. Plus, the shy new wife had a list of demands, and they barely got to see their dad. No surprise the older ones were just pissed off. Janelle looked like she was about to lose it over money. Logan even called it out, said they couldn't afford another kid. And guess what? Logan was the family accountant. Shocking that the teenager had a better grip on finances than the adults. Sure, they hid a lot back then, but when Hunter mentioned the family had enough kids, Kody snapped, "You don't get to choose." Ouch, that was one awkward dad moment. As for favoritism, Maddie's comments make it clear none of this was a surprise to the kids. Yet Kody and Robyn act shocked when anyone calls them out. How dare anyone speak up? And seriously, can you imagine being a teenager and thinking about your dad getting busy with a new wife? Gross, Robyn wasn't exactly breaking new ground here. No one in this family plans kids around finances. They're feeding moldy bread, juggling bills, and still, let's have another, seems to be their motto. I think Robyn rushed to have a baby to cement her place in the family hierarchy. Meanwhile, Christine's pregnancy with Truly seemed like a desperate bid to keep the TLC cameras rolling. Nothing says must-see reality like a pregnant wife while courting a fourth. Christine was heavily involved in getting the family on the show, and maybe just trying to stay relevant after losing her favorite wife spot. But don't get me wrong, Christine had suffered multiple miscarriages and was pressured by Kody to keep trying. He was thrilled when Truly was a girl, hoping Christine would try for a boy next. The guy's favorite wife game is intense. No surprise, no one expected Robyn to get a real job either. In their culture, a new wife is expected to have babies. The women rarely work outside the home, so it's all fake drama when people act like Robyn should have gotten a job. In fact, the family seemed blindsided when public exposure from the show threatened their regular jobs. Janelle quit hers for the Vegas move. Mira got fired but found something else. Christine worked nights for the census while pregnant, and Robyn started her own business ventures. Oh, and let's not forget, during filming, there was a brief, awkward shot of condoms on Robyn's bedside table. Was that a subtle jab at the other wives? Priceless. Their church is super anti-birth control, believing God has a waiting list of souls desperate to be born. So stopping babies? Sin City. Robyn pushing for a dark-haired boy fits perfectly with that. Compare that to the Duggars, who have their own reasons to breed, but the Browns just go with the flow. None of them are planning their pregnancies logically. They just keep going, regardless of whether they can afford the kids. Kody had 13 kids when the family was eating stale bread. No common sense there. Bottom line, the Browns don't say no, except when Miri wanted IVF and Kody said no, or delayed Yisibel's surgery because he knew better than the doctor. He's great at saying no to everyone but himself. Meanwhile, Robyn keeps pumping out kids like a Pez dispenser. Even though she only has 2 with Kody, she joined the family already responsible for 4 extra mouths. And spoiler alert, production probably paid for the rental homes, so the family's financial struggles might have been more storyline than reality. God will provide? Sure. But God also gave people brains to avoid creating financial disasters. Robyn was probably in a hurry to lock Kody down and secure her place however she could. And hey, that's the Browns in a nutshell. No timing, no logic, just babies, drama, and a whole lot of mess. Let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you in the next video. Take care and much love to you all.